So very good morning, and today we're going to see a very important unique problem statement use and discuss that using the methodology of business model canvas. So today we're going to talk about a company called Stripe. Now Stripe today is actually a global fintech company, and it is also a unicorn company. And we're going to see how they have developed a very efficient solution, and which is actually also very scalable, which it can be implemented to a global scale, where it is going to focus on a global payment processing system. So that is what we're going to talk about in this particular business model canvas presentation. Now, this is what let us discuss in detail. Now, let us understand what is a problem statement. Now, the problem statement is as it is there in the slide. Now, one is actually the small and medium enterprises. They face a lot of challenges, and these are some of the challenges. One is the compliance is very complex because every country they got a lot of legal requirements, regulated requirements. It's widely varying across countries, which is creating a lot of complexity for actually the SMS, SMEs. SMEs means for small and medium enterprises, and the fees is also very high. The currency conversion as well as the transaction, what they all finally they translate into margin erosion, because SMEs, already they operate with very wafer thin margins, and this is actually going to erode it is actually eroding the margins. And then the settlement cycles are very slow, and this is actually affecting the cash flow cycles. And then there is no transparency. So you have to be very clear. They are not able to know in a real time what is happening in terms of the payments. So these are actually the problem statements which actually it was taken, and that is where the solutions was built by Stripe. Now let us see the first part of the business model canvas, value proposition. Every product or a service of an organization, the value proposition is the key factor. I will say it is the front core thing. The value proposition, what was the value proposition offered by Stripe to the SMEs? Sorry, SMEs. One is actually the seamless cross-border payments. Now, the transactions happened without any frictions or delays. And second is the real-time tracking. Now, using a lot of dashboards and all this stuff, they were able to track real-time. Now, this builds their confidence as well as accountability. And third, the pricing was very transparent. So there were no hidden charges. It was very clear. The customer was very clearly knowing what to pay and how much. And then the application programming interface integration. There were a lot of apps. Now, this particular app was actually able to integrate very seamlessly with all the existing APIs. And these were the customer segments when you talk about the next part of the business model canvas. Now, these were the customer segments the Stripe actually serve. One is as I told you, small and medium enterprises, SMEs. Second is the e-commerce. Now, e-commerce also, they started using the Stripe. Online retailers, where they wanted to do reliable multi-currency, because customers coming up from the globe, they wanted to transact in their own currency. So multi-currency checkout was very critical. And then freelancers. So these are actually the digital service providers, where they are actually receiving the international client payments, and then startup companies and software as a service companies. So these were actually the customer segments Stripe was serving. Next is the customer relationships and channels, the other part of the key part of the BMC. Now, this was something the unique Stripe was doing with respect to customer relationships. They had a self-service platform with a very good intuitive user interface. And then they had dedicated support for B2B clients like enterprise clients. And then the boarding was very simple. It was onboarding, it was automatic, the KYC process very much simplified. So that created a very big impact for the users who signed up. And then when you come to the channels, they're very clear. They had the online platform, which is a very good dashboard. And then they had a partnership with existing e-commerce platforms. And then also the critical part is they had very good relationship with the developer communities and the forums. And then also the API integrations with websites and apps. So these were some of the channels. And what are the key activities and resources? When you talk about the key activities, payment processing and settlement was the key activity. And also equally important activity was the compliance and regulatory, because this involves a payment and involves cross-border transaction, compliance and regulatory played a very key role. And then fraud detection and risk management and API development and maintenance. Now, what are the key resources the company employed? One is actually the data analytics and fraud detection system, because it is coming in the payment background. Then they had skilled engineers in compliance experts who were very key resources, and proprietary application programming interfaces and software. and then advanced payment. And coming to the next part of the business model canvas, key partnerships and revenue streams. What were the key partnerships? They had this key partnerships with banks and financial institutions, payment networks like Visa and MasterCard, e-commerce platforms like Shopify and Amazon, and then currency exchange providers are also regularly available. So what are the various revenue streams Stripe was able to do? One is actually currency conversion charges. And for premium services, the subscription. And they had a value-added services like fraud protection and analytics, and then transaction fees per payment process was the key revenue stream, what the core revenue stream. And what are the cost structure and key metrics? The cost structure actually was technology infrastructure maintenance was the very key cost here, and then compliance and legal costs, because that is also coming in, because legal costs ultimately will definitely come in. Salaries of the employees, payment processing fees, and marketing and customer acquisition was also very key for cost structure. And what are the key metrics Stripe used? Transaction volume and value, payment success rate, revenue per customer, customer acquisition rate, and customer retention. All very key innovative metrics. And next is, what are the competitive advantage? Another key part of the BMC. The developer-friendly APIs was a very, very key competitive advantage. And the framework, actually, they were very proactive across various geographies. Their compliance was extraordinary. They have provided real-time analytics, which many applications didn't have. Then they were able to scale it globally. They were in 135 countries. So to conclude, we did a very good understanding of the business canvas of the business. Using the business model canvas, we were able to understand the Stripe, how they actually, the 9 elements were discussed in detail. And Stripe is actually today a very, very strong player. And then the continuous innovation is a key to the long-term success. So thank you very much for the patient listening. Thank you.